Attention Austin guitar players and bass players. Are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you, gang. That's Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie, and you can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Now, if you listen to the show, you know I've been talking about Jason for years. Why is that? Because I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years. Not only does he do the best job, but he has the best prices and the fastest service in town. Again, find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Not only is he doing an amazing job repairing and setting up guitars, he is now building guitars. That's right. He built me an SG Junior, which I have, and it sounds amazing. It feels great. It's the very first SG Junior he ever built. I've got a J. Scott Lutherie SG Junior. You can go see him at J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Get a guitar built. Get your guitars fixed. Get them set up. It's time, man. They've been hanging on the wall all through COVID. Now it's time to get them out, get them fixed, and get out there and play. J. Scott Lutherie on Instagram. Let's get down.
You gotta open the vault.
Open my vault?
Open your vault.
Once I open the vault, it ceases to be a vault.
You have no choice.
Wait, the vault.
It's time for How Did I Get Here from the Vault? And now, here's your host, Johnny Gowdy.
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host, and welcome to another episode of How Did I Get Here from the Vault, where we reach back into our vault of well over 1,000 episodes and pull one out, shine it up, and re-release it just in case you missed it because you're new to the show, or in case you want to hear it again because you love it so much. Gang, today we go all the way back to episode 1161. That is 1161 from April 29th of 2022 with songwriter, musician, poet, actor, and author John Doe from the legendary Los Angeles punk band X. Yeah, he was on the show, man. We had a great conversation. It was done via Skype. He was on when he was about to release his album Fables in a Foreign Land, where all the songs take place in the 1890s. It's an amazing album. He's about to hit the road with the John Doe Folk Trio. Now, John moved to Austin, and he's got some Austin guys playing in his band. Yeah, he lives here now. I have yet to meet him. As I'm putting this out, I've yet to meet him. John Doe Folk Trio featuring Kevin Smith on bass and my dear old friend Conrad Chicrone on the drums. And he talks about the LA punk scene that spawned X and the books he's written on the scene with my dear friend Tom DeSavia, who's been on the show. We were talking about some live streaming and his incredible acting career and all the movies he's been in. We do spend a lot of time on Great Balls of Fire, because I had a lot of questions about that. We also talk about Urga Music War. We talk about the decline of Western civilization, part 1. We talk about a lot of stuff. All right, so this is me and John Doe from episode 1161 from April of 2022. Chatting it up. Let's get down.
Te roberé tu corazón and hide it away in the unknown. Ten cuidado con que tú dices, or I'll tear your heart in pieces.
Hello.
Hello.
John Gowdy.
John Doe. How are you?
What's happening?
Nothing
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good morning.
And good morning to you, sir.
Are you normally an early riser?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yeah. Have you always been?
No. Children have a way of doing that to you, but then you can, if you're determined, you can reprogram yourself not to get up early. Now I do just because I go to bed early.
Yeah.
As well.
Is that because of the pandemic or just?
I don't go out and get hammered and do stupid shit as much anymore.
That's good. You know, I wanted to tell you something before we start talking about this new record and stuff. Your voice has gotten to like this new level that it really struck me when I saw this video of you singing "Sally Was a Cop" with Alejandro. and that huge band of like badasses.
Yes.
That like you owned that. Then like listening to this tune, Never Coming Back, like this vibrato that you have. I don't know. It's just like you're an incredible singer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know, practice. I appreciate it. You know, I don't know, the vibrato on this record seemed to just suit the songs or something.
Right.
So
right.
it's a little faster maybe than what I had been doing on other songs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
I'm very grateful that I still have some range and tone, and that's cool.
Do you do you sing regularly, like daily, or do you do any kind of like warm up or any kind of?
Not too much warm up, but I do sing pretty regularly. Yeah. And a long time ago, I kind of concentrated on breathing from my diaphragm and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's funny because all this stuff with your voice has really struck me over the last couple of days because I'm 53, and so I came across your music in kids' bedrooms when I was pretty young, like 12 or 13,
Oh boy.
And and I was noticing when I was listening to X that there's this such a definable sound when you and Exene sing together that it's those kind of things like define the sound of a vocal band like the Eagles or the Bee Gees. Like you may not know it's them when one of them's singing, but when all of them sing, you're like, oh, that's who it is. And you guys have that. I mean, in a different way, right? But like you totally have that unique character when both of you sing together that's so identifiable and unbelievable.
Well, that is a first, and I'm going to mark that down on my. I'm going to get my pen. That the band X and Exene and I were in the same sentence as the Bee Gees
and the Eagles.
Yeah, and then put a big question mark and an exclamation point, and say Johnny Gowdy is a wild man, free associator of all kinds of things. Fantastical and wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this record, Fables in a Foreign Land. What is this? It's not a concept record, but you set parameters for yourself of like, were you only writing songs that were taking place in the 1890s on purpose?
It just sort of, I don't do anything that's like preconceived or contrived or that sort of thing. It just kind of happened, and I think part of it was, being fed up with learning curves. I really don't need another MFing learning curve. When you get a new phone or something or other, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, I got to fill out this and I got to do that. And so it's not that, pre-industrial times were simpler.
No, because
they just were more. I think they were more direct, and there were just as many like good and bad people. Maybe there were more bad people because you could be and get away with it or something, or people didn't have civilization was a little more wide open. I don't know, but it just kind of happened that way, and it is somewhat of a concept record. It's got a beginning. It's got an end. I don't know. The middle gets a little fuzzy. It's not like a direct arc, of a novel or something. But
I wanted to ask you, because this will come out before the whole record's out, but there's some singles out. But I wanted to talk about one song that's not out yet, and that's "See the Almighty," which is unbelievable song.
Oh, good.
Like, really, what an amazing song. Who played strings on that?
Carrie Rodriguez.
Oh, no way. I just had her on the show. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. And and Kevin, bowed his bass. He did to make the two like creepy string sounds, which was very a happy accident. Kevin just started with that sliding and that just added to the creepiness of doing a song that mentions the Almighty, mentions God. But that was maybe a later song in writing it, and I felt like whoever this traveler is, and it could be a woman, could be a man or a woman. It's a kid, like 17, 18 years old who has to leave home, but they have to start asking themselves, why me? Have you forsaken me? In my times of trouble, that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The who played the accordion on this record?
Josh Baca from Tex Maniacs.
Okay, I don't know that dude.
Oh,
pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, Tex Maniacs are a very traditional conjunto norteño band from San Antonio.
Oh, excellent.
And I got introduced to them. Josh sat in for David Hidalgo, one show that X and the Los Lobos played.
Uh-huh.
David had fucked up his back or something, and Josh came in and played. He's an amazing player. He plays all kinds of like wild stuff. I think he does a like conjunto version of Jimi Hendrix songs.
Oh, really?
and Steve Berlin and Dave Way, engineer and producer, and Steve Berlin from Los Lobos, they co-produced this record with me.
Oh, really? Awesome.
So Josh was doing, different takes on Guilty Bystander, and they're getting more and more like outside, and we're Steve and I are looking at each other thinking like, is this a good idea? Whose idea was this? And we're going like, I don't know if this is going to work, Yeah. And the whole reason that we called him is because of the guitar figure that, da 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 da. It just seemed like, oh, this is like traditional kind of Mexican sound, right? And then on the like fourth or fifth take, Josh says, "Hey man, what if I just do one just Mexican style?" Yeah, that's a great idea. And then of course he did 2 takes and it was perfect.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. Were you guys recording here at that Treehouse place?
No, we ended up at Jim Eno's place, the Public Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you you recorded live?
We did. All the songs and everything were realized on Kevin Smith's patio.
Right.
Because Kevin and I started playing like once a week on maybe April 2020, because neither one of us were touring, and it's like, what the hell? And then Conrad came in the next month or so, and we just set up and in the corner of Public Hi-Fi and just put a bunch. Dave Way is he's a great engineer and producer. I've worked with him on probably 10 records.
Wow.
He's from LA, and he's done everybody from, he was the engineer on the early Macy Gray records, and he worked with Ringo, and he did that Echoes in the Canyon movie thing with Jacob Dylan. And anyway, he's also a big proponent of this new Sony Atmos, which I don't know if you've heard of. It's like a surround sound deal.
Oh, really?
But it totally works. I mean, it's like 6 to 12 speakers placed around a room, and you can direct percentages of a track to different speakers.
Wow.
So it's not that goofy, like
surround
quadro.
Sound? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It is surround sound. They've been using it in movie theaters, but now he's transferring, like Dave transferred the Al Green Love and Happiness.
Wow.
That whole record that was on to this Atmos thing. So Dave just set up a bunch of room mics and close mics, and we had to play. So if Kevin or I, sang or played a bum note, it's like, nope, can't use that. but we did cut between takes. We could like a old jazz record.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to really do that music without. You couldn't really, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you could, but it wouldn't. It
wouldn't feel the same.
Kind of, yeah, it would be kind of anti the feeling. And I mean, most everything. I don't know. Most records that we like, and I'm including you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Have some, people play together, and there's some bleed and stuff. This was a little more extreme. Version of that, because you can always, usually the vocalist is in a separate booth, and sometimes you'll redo the whole vocal and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. Conrad is such an amazing drummer too, man. Like what?
Isn't he?
Yeah. What a lovely person.
Yeah. Yes.
I've known him for a long time. We have a lot of friends like I've known I was called Todd Wolfson yesterday, and he was on his way to your place which is just random.
That's what he said.
Him. Yeah. And then Jesse Dayton's a real good friend of mine, and he's been on the show and stuff. And Tom DeSavia is an old friend of mine.
Oh, yes. Well, everybody knows Tom DeSavia.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. There's like 6 degrees of DeSavia. But I actually had him on the show when Under the Big Black Sun came out. And we talked about the book. Yeah. And what an incredible book and story that is.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nice to get it down and nice to have all the perspectives and by, enlisting all those people, I didn't have to write it all.
Right. Well, that's also a great way to tell those stories, because really from one perspective, it would be, it wouldn't be as clear, Yeah.
Well, it would be, really biased and just one.
Correct.
And everybody used seemed to find their own voice and as much as I supported and appreciated the Latino input into that scene, I couldn't write from that perspective.
Right.
So, Elvez and Teresa from the Brat, they could.
Yeah.
And same with and Jane Weedland and Pleasant Gaiman are such terrific writers.
Yeah.
You really get inside their heads and it was a great experience. And I'm hoping that somebody does the Austin version of that. That's one of the things we hoped in making those books, is that we would inspire other scenes to kind of use that. Yeah.
Do you know Jesse Sublett?
I don't.
I would think that he would be a good guy for it. He did one on the Armadillo, but he was also like in the Skunks, I think.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. I was when I saw that the video of you doing Sally Was a Cop, Alejandro was talking about knowing you when he was in the Nuns. Do you remember meeting him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think I got to know him a little bit better when he was playing with Rank and File. Because we were pretty close with Tony and Chip from the Dills, and but it's funny, we never really sat down together. And then 2019 sometime, I was flying out of Bergstrom, and Al was doing a different flight, and we had like 45 minutes. We just sat down and shot the shit, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I thank Austin. I think moving to Austin for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And getting to know Terry Allen was also part of moving here, and yeah.
And he contributed some lyrics to Never Coming Back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny thing is that I thought he might just have some other story or lyrics that he couldn't finish or didn't have time to. So I sent him the song Never Coming Back just as a, this is what I'm up to. It was a kind of a live thing of the three of us. And he wrote back with like all these additional lyrics and a bridge and stuff like that. And it's like, my first reaction was like, no, dummy, this song's done. And then my second reaction is like, oh shit, what if it's not?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was able to put my ego aside and say, oh, cool. Maybe and then I just extended that chorus. He wrote the lines, to the darkening of light, the memory of that night, and the screaming of the wind, and the something or other. So yeah, it was kind of like put your ego aside, brother, because you can figure out cooler stuff if you work with, somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. You also,
Terry is a great artist. Just unbelievable.
yeah, across the board. Like,
Yeah. And his, yeah, he's about 10 years older than me, and his, his curiosity, and it's like, I've been to a thing he does in Marfa, and it's like, yeah, man, let's go do this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there's a teenager just below the surface of Terry Allen,
Yeah.
which
Totally.
I say is a compliment.
Yeah. It's inspiring to be around. Those are the things
Yes.
that I've like, as you've gotten older, have you worried that you were going to like lose that part of yourself? And,
I don't
like, just
worry
drove
about
through
it,
life?
but it's, yeah, I guess, yeah, sure. I had some concerns maybe, but figured it's up to everybody to remain open and to remain, like to continue to expand.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then you're not going to contract. Contracting is where you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Where you say, oh, somebody already did that.
Right. Right.
And not appreciate the next version of whatever that is.
Right. Right. It's also like it seems to be, for me at least, a cognizant practice to not be offended by things that are new that I don't understand. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Try, like, maybe there's something that, maybe it's not everything, but maybe there's just like one thing that you love about this new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Watching you, I watched, I guess, the latest live stream that you did with the John Doe Folk Trio, where it was kind of windy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
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 It was interesting watching a guy do music from an era way before that, but negotiating a two camera shoot that was being live streamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something like.
Well, you probably had the experience where rehearsal can be as much about shooting the shit as it can be about playing music.
Right.
And that was kind of what I was trying to get at, because going out to Kevin's backyard was great, and sometimes it was just talking about Conrad's kid breaking his toe.
Yeah.
Or somebody wrecking a car or something like that, or some story about 15, 20 years ago. So yeah, I tried to. It was a little bit like what's it called? Like the metaphors, the duck in water, where the duck seems very still, but its feet are like
going
furiously passing.
Yeah.
I tried to stay kind of calm and collected, but man, it was like you had to keep it going, keep talking, and it's
yeah.
it was actually my partner that had the idea. It's like, why don't you do this, like once a month? And then after doing it once, I thought, no, it's too much work. I had to get someone from Otter, which is a really great platform. Otter is a platform that you can use like 3 cameras and do a live stream with a tablet or a computer, just choosing which shot to do.
Right.
It's called Otter Director. And you got a 3 camera shoot, but it's all just phones.
Yeah.
And it looks and sounds great. And it's like, fuck. So, we had to get someone who was supporting that, and
it seems like, just
Whatever.
though you were keeping it pretty simple, like you know, and also once again, like your voice being able to sing over a drummer. And I know everyone was playing a little quietly, but you know, I know that singing over a band, like without any amplification, is difficult.
Yeah. Well, Conrad uses these little, like, you know, tiny chopsticks sometimes. and yeah, like I say, it was something that we just developed over, you know, 18 months.
Yeah.
And I think we're really grateful that we had that time, because that'll never fucking happen again.
Hopefully.
You're not out making music. You're not touring. You're not, you know, you're not being pulled 2 or 3 different directions. Like most musicians are.
It's good that you were able to turn that around. I mean, were you also able to feel the slowdown in life and kind of enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the first time that I've ever thought, like, oh, if I had enough money, I could totally retire. but that'll never happen. You know that, you know?
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's how Daddy brings home the bacon.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What brought you to Austin? What brought you this way?
Well, my partner, Chrissy, is from here. And where we lived in the Bay Area was always cold.
Yeah.
And I realized that I could never, ever buy a house there. Now I don't think I could I know I couldn't buy the same house.
Right.
But, you know, we moved here a little over 5 years ago. And, you know, I've been coming to Austin since 79.
Yeah. That's
a lot of old friends, a lot of, you know, friends that have moved here maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s with tech stuff. And it's a really livable city, you know?
Yeah. Tell me about that when you came in 1979. Remember where you played? Did you guys play the Armadillo or something?
No, we played Clubfoot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we played with the big boys.
Oh, nice.
First time. Probably every time. Probably, you know, the first 3 or 4 times we played with the big boys. And we would also play at Numbers in Houston.
Yeah.
With them. Yeah. It was a great time. You know, and coming here, the inclusivity, you know, everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Was very much like the early LA scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, both Gary and Biscuit being, you know, just really flamboyant and not giving 2 fucks about anything.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I get this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the very first time I got a sense of that was before the Under the Big Black Sun book. When they reissued, I guess, like, I don't know, 7 years ago or 8 years ago, they reissued the Decline of Western Civilization trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one of these with Penelope Spheris. And and in watching that first one, I always felt like you were when they get to the parts with you, it seems like you're the most together person. And I assume you were probably a little bit older than everyone else. I mean, you're still pretty sweaty. But
well,
yeah.
The one thing that I wish they would have had, you know, what do they call it? A crawl on the you know, like on your news channel.
Yeah.
You know, this scene was filmed between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. after X had played 2 shows at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and P.S. they're high on beer and speed.
Yeah.
So it was all appearances, and yeah, well, Billy's about 5 years older than me, and at that point I was probably 24.
Yeah. Well, that's ancient compared to some of those guys that were hanging out like Flea and stuff, you know, right?
Yeah, but it's funny because at the time, you know, that was a very controversial film when it came out, especially among the original crew of LA punk rock, because it didn't include the Alley Cats, it didn't include the Plugs or the Screamers or Weirdos or all these, you know, first wave of the LA punk rock bands. Because this was made in, you know, 79 and 80.
Right.
And so it was documenting the changeover between the first wave and the second wave. So you were getting a lot more of the really aggressive, circle jerks and Black Flag and, Fear was in the first wave as well, but there was a whole change in the audience where it was more South Bay types, skateboarders and surfers and stuff like that. And there's a lot of testosterone.
Yeah.
So, but that was the movie that Penelope had to make because that's what was going on. And she also made it a little more sensational by including all those audience members like Eugene and the ex-head guy and all this sort of teenage nihilism.
Yeah.
Which was really just starting to manifest itself because there was the extreme version of a latchkey kid.
Right. Exactly.
And Southern California was, and around the country, but that was really a ground zero for, parents that didn't really parent and kids that just had to figure out shit. That guy, ex-head guy, Mike, he got kicked out of the Marines and he was a fucking sociopath. He totally was. I can remember a gig that we played and there was suddenly a big clearing in the middle of the dance floor and he had some like dog, like a long dog chain that he was swinging over his head.
Oh God.
Just trying to hurt people.
Yeah.
So we stopped playing and said, get this fucking nutcase out of here.
Yeah.
But the more people that come, you're going to have just like, numbers. You're going to have one or two psychotic people.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like that when I think about it, it seems to me like that first wave of punk, even in Britain, was more of an ethos and less of a style of music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
Like there was all different kinds of music. Like the Clash were nothing like the Sex Pistols. You know what I mean?
Right. I've said that many times.
Yeah.
And the same with the New York scene. You've got Blondie and the Ramones and the Talking Heads and Television, and they're all totally
they don't
fucking
sound like
different.
The Ramones. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So yes, it was, but it was all just like it just what's new? It just had to sound somewhat new.
Right. Right. And there was
even Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe. I mean, they were kind of lumped in with Stiff Records and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't sound like the Damned.
No.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about this is probably, well, maybe other kids know this too. When I was a kid, they started showing Erg Music War on on HBO and stuff when I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Was that one show, or how did that work in real life, like logistically? Was it a week of shows?
I think they did a number of shows, and we were on the show with the Cramps and maybe the Alley Cats. Okay. And they would have 3 or 4, maybe 5 bands. And we did it at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, which is probably 2,500 capacity.
Yeah.
And the Cramps closed the show because the Cramps always closed the show because nobody would go on after them.
Dude, no one wants to use that microphone afterwards.
Oh, Lux was such a dear person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an amazing performance.
And he was like Superman too.
Yeah.
Because when he wasn't being Lux Interior on stage, he had little wire rim glasses and he was very mild mannered. He was totally like Clark Kent and fucking Superman. It was insane. I think on that show, someone threw a Converse tennis shoe on stage and he poured beer into it and then drank it out of the like drinking champagne out of the lady's glass slipper, only unfucking believable.
That's insane. Did you guys?
So they had a series of shows.
Okay.
and there was another one with some of the English bands that were in there, and I think that was a Miles Copeland production. I think Miles had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I think he did too. I just remember watching it when I was a kid, and just my friends and I would be like, "Man, I would love to go to this show, but like, would it start at like 8 a.m. or something?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you guys play the US Festival or no?
No.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you a little bit about your acting. Are you doing much acting anymore?
Not really. There's some I did in 2019. We did with a friend. We did a remake of the film noir movie called DOA,
mm-hmm.
and it was made in 1949. And we kind of changed the script a little bit. We did it in period down in St. Augustine, and we're trying to find a home for that.
Oh, awesome!
But I mean, I don't do any auditions unless it's something that's like big time.
Yeah.
Because I figure I've done enough that people can just like look at it and either figure I know how to do it or not. I also did voiceover for an animated movie that might come out.
Awesome.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good way of, it's a great way to have another expression.
Yeah.
Creative outlet.
Did that come pretty naturally to you? Or did you take classes or what? Did you grow up doing it or?
No, it just came through agency that X was represented by.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I give Allison Anders, the indie filmmaker, credit because she did a movie called Border Radio that had like 3 or 4 other LA musicians in it. And she asked me if I'd be in it. That was back in, I don't know, 83 or something, 83, 84. And then, it just sort of happened. And then I did a movie with Harry Dean Stanton called Slam Dance.
Oh, yeah. And Tom Hulse, right?
And, Tom Hulse and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I think Adam Ant even had a part in it.
He was, yeah.
Right. It's kind of a terrible movie. I went to Louisville because they have a Harry Dean festival once a year. And kind of a bad movie, kind of like too many things, too many ideas.
Right.
But I got to hang out with Harry Dean, and in some of the scenes that we were doing, I just was getting fucking left in the dust. I could not keep up. And after that, I did a few classes, improv and some other, character study things, and read a bunch of books and on the job learning.
The first time I remember seeing you, I don't remember you being in Slam Dance, but I do remember. I remember renting it, and I don't know why I even remember it so much.
Yeah,
because
Virginia Madsen was like the real Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa! You just walk around like that?
Yeah. Yeah. But the first time I remember seeing you was in the Great Balls of Fire.
Yes.
And there was a great, just your like sort of the guy that has to deal with hanging out with with Jerry Lee Lewis was like, you carried that in your face so well.
Well, it was some of that wasn't acting, because hanging out with Dennis Quaid during that period. Dennis was trying to be Jerry Lee. Dennis Quaid was trying to be Jerry Lee, and he was staying up all night and just being a wild man. And God bless him, because he was totally like into like, this is who I'm going to be, and I'm going to be that 24/7.
Yeah.
That was a gas. I mean, Mojo and I were kind of knew each other, but we became really good pals. And Stephen Tobolowsky is a really wonderful actor. And, Dennis was very dedicated, and he worked his ass off for that movie. I think he's a great actor. Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, he's got staying power for sure.
I saw him. He used to play shows here all the time, like 20 years ago.
He does. Yeah. He does music pretty regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, I met him a couple of times. He was very, very nice.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy.
Yeah, but you were also in Zombex, which I
I
actually
don't remember
enjoyed.
that.
You don't remember that?
Yeah,
The Jesse Davis
yeah.
movie?
It was one day, and
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it. It's like that's not my thing.
It's not.
No.
I was that movie was like the idea behind it was surprisingly so great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you also have another book that you wrote, which I didn't read, which is More Fun in the New World, and that one you did with DeSavia as well.
I did, and that covers the second. That covers the next 5 years from 82 to 87.
Okay.
So it's somewhat the disintegration of the scene.
Uh-huh.
And as Tom and I were getting ready to do that, again, my partner, who's smarter than me, said when we explained what it was going to be about, she said, "That sounds fucking horrible. I don't want to read. I don't want to read that book. It's a terrible book." And she had the idea that what about the artists that we influenced? In addition to the story of like what happened with the Go-Go's,
right.
Charlotte and Jane told their story, and what happened with X, and we got Chip Kinman to talk about the transition between playing in the Dills and doing rank and file, and we included all the Lone Justice story and a band called Blood on the Saddle. So there was Sid Griffin from the Longriders talked about like the Paisley Underground, which was Dream Syndicate and those bands. But then we also enlisted some other artists like Shepard Fairey and Allison Anders and Tim Robbins and Tony Hawk, like what effect that music had on them,
right?
Encouraging or helping them believe that they could just do whatever the hell they wanted.
Right.
It's like, well, these assholes are doing whatever they want.
Right.
So maybe I can too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And hearing from Shepard what kind of effect, punk rock had on a person who's probably the best known graphic artist, in America, maybe in the world. I don't know. Shepard does the Obey Giant and did
right.
He has a mural downtown.
Yeah.
I forget exactly where it is, but yeah. Anyway, so that's what the second book is about.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, because really the lasting. I mean, the effects are still felt to this day. I'm sure you hear about it all the time from people telling you, like, "Thank you for the inspiration." And
yes, yeah. Well, there was a moment in Oakland where I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Oh yeah, I have a pretty big tattoo shop downtown Oakland, or somewhere in Oakland," and I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't for like Green Day and that whole East Bay crowd, because I saw those guys doing it, and they were just making a business.
Yeah.
I figured, well, I can make a business. If they can make a business, what the hell? And that was a bit of a aha moment for me.
Yeah.
You can turn art into commerce and make something of it.
Well, that's what I think of when I think of at least you and Exene and sort of like what was happening. I think of you guys as like an art rock punk band, because you were going to express yourself artistically in some way, and then you found this way that could actually reach people and you could monetize it. Yeah. And so you did it like that instead of just writing poetry or drawing pictures or taking photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. We chose something that, and it was a very fortunate meeting. All of us, and it came out of that scene. Mm-hmm. So, we do pay attention to art. We do pay attention to the lyrics and the stories, but it's not too obscure, and it's not trying to be weird, you know.
Right.
It's pretty available. It's you can. It's got a verse and a chorus. It's pretty traditional in that way.
Right. Yeah, you guys always had like there's. It's funny because when you go listen to like Alphabet Land, you guys can still summon that energy. That's always like that's one of those things where you hear people singing at the top of their range or playing as fast as they can when they're young, and you're like, oh man. But then you see hear a record like Alphabet Land, or even see a band like Metallica, like dudes in their 60s, like still playing with ferocity for 2 hours straight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a will. I think it's driven by will and some, drive or determination or dedication, to stay up with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how our drummer DJ Bonebreak does it.
No shit.
He's like, wow.
Yeah.
And I know what he does. He works out and he plays drums a lot and he runs and he, plus he's just physically that.
Yeah. Built for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, dude, when you tour in the, like later on, like in June, are you touring with the trio?
Yes. Kevin and Conrad are doing most of it. And then the boss called Kevin and said, sorry, buddy. Yeah.
I was going to ask.
So all things come after Willie.
Of course. The unmentioned president
that's okay
of
with
the
me.
Republic of Texas.
Yes, I, like many others, defer to Mr. Willie Nelson, and that's okay. So yeah, we're gonna do probably a couple of weeks, and then I've got another team coming in. The funny thing is that Lisa Pancratz and Brad Fordham are doing a few gigs.
Oh, awesome!
With me as well. We played out in Fort Worth, and then we're gonna do the Hot Rod show in a couple of weeks or maybe 10 days. And Kevin's out with Willie, and Conrad has got some family thing. And so Brad and Lisa are going to do that. And then they're busy with Jimmy Dale and Dave Alvin in June. So they can't come. So like my second A team, like here's the A team and there's the second A team.
Yeah.
And both of them are busy. So
man, Dave Alvin's incredible, huh?
Yeah, he is.
Jesus.
He's very, very talented.
Yeah, man.
And who would have thought that he and Jimmy Dale would get together?
I don't know.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I just, I can't remember when, it must have been like 6 months ago or something. I had Jimmy on and we were talking about that very thing. Like,
yeah.
Like what an odd pair.
Well, I guess according to Jimmy Dale, they just kind of got together and realized that all of their influences were virtually the same. They just made something different out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Do you listen to music?
Oh yeah. All the time.
What do you, anything you're listening to that's blown your mind lately?
Yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a woman who was out of California. Micah Nelson turned me on to her. She goes by the name Sunny War.
Okay.
And actually she's going to open the show that I'm going to do at the Stateside.
Oh, awesome.
On May 7th.
May 7th.
Sunny War is awesome. There's a guy from here, Buffalo Nichols.
Oh yeah.
He's really good. Carl. And there's a band that X toured with quite a bit called Skating Polly. And they're great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to old stuff too.
Yeah.
I still listen to old blues stuff. And, I didn't do a deep dive academic research to do this record, but I listened to, a lot of old fashioned shit, like the Mississippi Shakes and Doc Boggs and, old stuff like that. Just maybe part of it for the sound, like sound of guitars and things like that.
Well, even your other more rockin' like solo albums are from that same family, just further down the line. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, my introduction to the blues was Chicago blues. So Otis Spann and and Buddy Guy and Junior Wells and
Right.
and that whole Vanguard stable chess record. You know, Howlin' Wolf. I don't think there's anybody better than Howlin' Wolf. You could, if you just had one person to listen to, you could listen to Howlin' Wolf.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What was the question?
What if I was going to say that if you had one artist to listen to, it would only be Def Leppard, and that's it?
Oh God, just fucking shoot me.
So
I don't like hard rock at all.
no.
There was something that I did, and someone kept telling me that I had to listen to this song Renegade by Styx. And I tried to listen to it like 4 times, and I would get like 30 seconds into it and go like, I can't. This is terrible. I don't care what the lyrics are. The lyrics are actually kind of bad, even though they're trying to tell a story.
Who did that? Was it someone that was fucking with you?
No, it was part of a book that I was reading. Anyway.
So you're doing a show May 7th at the Stateside Theater?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And we're going to do that with Conrad and Brad Fordham.
Excellent.
And I think Carrie Rodriguez is going to sit in for a couple songs. So
Amazing.
it'll be fancy.
Yeah.
It'll be
very
fancy. It'll be a concert.
Yeah.
Concert.
Well, I'm going to see if I'm not playing that, and I'm going to try and check that out. I would love to see that.
Yeah, it'd be good.
It's been really great talking to you, John.
Same here, Johnny.
Yeah, you are.
When are we gonna get together and have coffee or something?
I don't know. Let's do it soon. I would love that.
All right.
Before you
Yeah,
leave, I'll reach out to you through one of these social media things, or send you my email or something.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Well,
Do
this
that.
record, Fables in a Foreign Land, is gorgeous. The videos that you made for Never Coming Back and El Romanzo, which, by the way, we didn't talk about that. It's an amazing song as well.
Oh well, thanks. Luis Perez wrote the Spanish verse in that.
Okay, I was wondering.
And the song came to me in a dream, and all I remembered of the dream was the name El Romanzo. And so I kind of started thinking about what the character would be like, and I had a piece of music that it turns out that he gives himself his own nickname, which everybody knows you can't do.
Right.
You have to earn it. You have to either do something wonderful or something really stupid
Yeah.
to get your nickname, or have, like a certain, like, red hair or something like that,
Right.
And so this guy, and it turns out that he's just a liar. There's people that inflate their image or
Yes.
their whatever they do,
Yeah.
And then you realize you're just a fucking liar, and
Yeah.
I don't actually have time for you. But that's what El Romanzo, and maybe in the story of this record, this is probably one of those situations that our narrator kind of comes into town and starts getting taken in, kind of like in the video, the way the younger actor is getting taken in by the older guy and sort of becomes him.
Right.
Our narrator kind of gets seduced by someone who's saying, "Oh yes, my mother was Navajo and I was born in Mexico, and
Right.
I can do this and I go here and I do that." And it's like, no, you actually don't. So
Yeah.
I was really lucky that Louis wanted to work on that. We've been old friends for a long time, so that's another bonus.
Yeah, amazing. You also, Shirley Manson wrote with you on this?
She did. Exene and I had the good fortune to open a tour that was us, like, as the folk duo, and then Garbage, and then Blondie.
Awesome.
And I think we exit toured with Blondie a few years before that, and Shirley and Exene and I got to be pretty good pals, and at one point Shirley said, "We should write a murder ballad," to Exene and I, and yeah, let's do that. And then months passed by, and I saw her at another show and said, "Hey, whatever happened to the murder ballad?" And she goes, "Oh, I've got the lyrics. I'll send them to you tomorrow." Cool. So we did a first version of that with the band Garbage, and it was in 3/4 time, and it was pretty goth and heavy like Garbage is.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I love the words. I love the story. I want to kind of reclaim it to be more of a folky, like murder ballad. What you think of as murder ballads.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She's sweet. She's take no prisoners on stage, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And those first 2 records that they put out in the 90s were huge in my book. I loved them.
Yeah.
Super creative band, and she was amazing. She is. Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Well, man, everyone should get out there and check out this stuff. They can find all your stuff at thejohndoe.com. And
2 E's.
2 E's. Thejohndoe.com. The real John Doe.
Yes. Well, the johndoe.com and thejohndoe.com were already taken.
So the. Yeah.
As in thee and thou and the old English, ye old shoppy.
Yeah. Well, I shan't keep you much longer. It's been great talking to you.
Therefore, and thusly I bid you adieu, kind gentleman Johnny Gowdy.
Great to meet you, John. I look forward to meeting you in person, man.
Yeah, we'll see each other pretty soon.
All right, man.
Take care.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
That was John Doe. His album Fables in a Foreign Land drops May 20th. Also, if you live in Austin, you can see him next Saturday, May 7th at the Stateside with Sonny Ward. Go to thejohndoe.com for all of your John Doe needs. What a great conversation, man. I had such a fantastic time talking to him. And he is, man. He's a fucking great singer. What a great singer that guy is. And that Sally Was a Cop, I suggest you look it up on YouTube. It is great. Fucking great. All right. Hey, gang, don't forget when you're out there checking out thejohndoe.com. Don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts. You'll get new shows every Tuesday and every Friday. Tuesdays and Fridays. Or like this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 3 shows. Sometimes 3 shows a week, you guys. All right. Let's check out the rest of this song, El Romanzo, by the great John Doe. I want to thank him again for doing the show. It was really great talking to him. How exciting was that, right? It was very exciting. All right. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Talk to you next week. Let's get down.
El Romanzo. Yo hablo la verdad, mi palabra es tu libertad y puedo ser tu mejor amigo. Nadie sabe por qué y tampoco a dónde fue, porque era un mentiroso. He said he'd always win, but I think he lost. He covered up his sins at a mighty cost. He thought he was beloved, but he was